Ancient temples hold a secret code embedded in their very stones. These colossal structures, from the pyramids to the Parthenon, were built according to a hidden language of sacred geometry, a system of angles and ratios believed to mirror the universe itself. By the end of this journey, you will see these architectural marvels in a completely new light, understanding the profound cosmic principles their builders sought to capture. Why would cultures across the globe with no contact use the same mathematical patterns in their holiest sites? What were they trying to communicate to the future? When you look at a grand cathedral or an ancient ruin, what is the first feeling that washes over you? A perfect circle contains no beginning and no end. It is the ultimate symbol of unity and wholeness, a shape found everywhere from the pupil of your eye to the orbit of a planet. This simple form is the very starting point of sacred geometry, a timeless belief system that sees geometric patterns as the building blocks of reality itself. Ancient cultures were convinced that by using these universal patterns, they could construct temples that did more than just house deities. They could build bridges to the cosmos. The great philosopher Plato described a world soul, a fundamental essence of the universe fashioned from pure geometric forms. Mystics and sages from traditions across the globe echoed this idea, viewing geometry as a visual language that could connect our physical world with the spiritual one. This was not abstract philosophy for them. It was a practical guide to creation. They employed specific, powerful ratios and shapes to bring this harmony to life. The Golden Ratio, a proportion seen in the spiral of a seashell, and Pi, the constant that defines every circle, were considered divine constants. They used the Vesica Piscis, the almond shape created by two overlapping circles, as a symbol of creation and the intersection of worlds. They built upon this with the seed of life, a pattern of 7 interlocking circles that represents the genesis of all form. These patterns were far more than decoration. They were active components, believed to be absolutely essential for tuning a building to the frequencies of the natural order and the spiritual realms. When you grasp this foundational intent, the silent stones of ancient ruins begin to speak a universal language. That same spiral found in a seashell also governs the growth of a sunflower's seeds and the curve of a crashing wave. It is the fingerprint of a number so fundamental that ancient builders saw it as divine. This is the Golden Ratio, a proportion of approximately 1.618, a constant they called Phi. Wherever this ratio appears, from the branching of trees to the proportions of the human body, we perceive a deep, instinctive sense of beauty and harmony. It was this very feeling that architects sought to capture in stone. They believed that by weaving Phi into their temples, they could make a building feel as natural and perfectly ordered as the world outside its walls. Look at the Parthenon in Athens. The entire facade, the relationship of its width to its height, and the elegant spacing between its majestic columns all whisper this golden number. This was not a random aesthetic choice. It was a deliberate act of resonance. The floor plan, the rise of the steps, even the dimensions of the inner altar were all calculated using this ratio. The goal was to create a space where a person would not just see perfection, but feel it. Stepping into such a temple was meant to be a subliminal homecoming, an experience of being in a place that was perfectly in tune with the universe. This principle of divine proportion was a cornerstone of sacred architecture, yet it often worked in concert with another, equally powerful constant. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a silent testament to this lost science of measurement. Its sheer scale is staggering, but the true marvel lies in the mathematical secrets locked within its limestone blocks. Take the pyramid's base perimeter. If you take that measurement and divide it by twice the structure's original height, the result is a number eerily close to pi, 3.1416. This is not a random artifact of construction. It reveals a profound intention to weave a fundamental constant of the universe into the very fabric of the tomb. Think of the immense effort required. We are talking about a monument built with millions of stone blocks, each precisely cut and placed, all conspiring to embody this perfect ratio. This encoding of pi suggests the builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of mathematics that seems to defy their era. Were they simply creating a symbolic representation of the eternal cycle of the sun and the stars, a circle cast in stone? Or was this precise geometry actually functional, a key part of the pyramid's ability to align with celestial bodies and perhaps even channel energies we no longer understand? The presence of pi in a 4,500-year-old structure forces us to reconsider the technological capabilities of the ancient world. It points to a forgotten system of knowledge, one that viewed numbers not as abstract symbols, but as the living architecture of creation itself. This cosmic ruler was used to measure out other perfect forms, shapes believed to hold the very blueprint of reality. This geometric challenge of squaring the circle was far more than an intellectual exercise. It was a spiritual imperative, a way to physically manifest the connection between our world and the cosmos. Picture the perfect balance of a mandala, a sacred diagram where a square sits harmoniously within a circle. This visual representation of the universe symbolizes the earthly realm, the square, contained within the boundless divine, the circle. Ancient architects were obsessed with bringing this symbolic fusion to life in stone. They sought to create a square and a circle with the same perimeter or area, a task mathematically impossible with perfect precision, yet they pursued it with incredible ingenuity. This was their grand metaphor for reconciling the material world with the spiritual one, for building a bridge between humanity and the gods. We see this principle etched into the very foundations of countless sacred sites. The magnificent Pantheon in Rome stands as a masterclass in this concept. Its design features a breathtaking circular dome representing the heavens, resting perfectly upon a cylindrical drum that itself interfaces with the square, earthly space below. This is architecture as a cosmic statement. Similarly, Hindu temple design follows the Vastu Purusha mandala, a precise diagram that maps the cosmic being onto a square grid, which is then circumscribed by a circle. The entire temple complex becomes a symbolic universe, with every wall, pillar, and gateway positioned according to this sacred geometry. By building upon this foundational relationship of square and circle, the temple itself was transformed into a microcosm, a miniature model of the entire cosmos. This two-dimensional blueprint was just the beginning, the foundation for a reality that reached powerfully into the third dimension. Plato saw the universe itself as being built from 5 perfect shapes. These are the Platonic Solids, a set of forms so unique that every face is an identical polygon, every edge is the same length, and every corner is identical. The ancient Greeks assigned each solid to a fundamental element of nature. The stable cube represented earth, the pointy tetrahedron was fire, the octahedron was air, and the icosahedron, with its many triangular faces, was water. The fifth shape, the dodecahedron with its 12 pentagonal faces, was considered so special that Plato said the gods used it to arrange the constellations in the sky. This was not merely symbolic. These shapes represented the ultimate, perfect building blocks of reality, and architects sought to embed their energetic principles into sacred spaces. The dodecahedron, linked to the heavens, profoundly influenced the design of domes and vaulted ceilings. When you stand beneath the vast canopy of a cathedral dome, you are essentially standing inside a section of a dodecahedron, a space designed to mimic the celestial sphere itself. The cube provided the foundational logic for countless altars and temple bases, representing solidity and the earthly plane. This architectural philosophy aimed to construct a resonance between the microcosm of the temple and the macrocosm of the universe. By building with these ideal forms, the ancients were not just creating shelters for worship. They were attempting to construct a physical model of cosmic order, a place where the perfect geometry of the heavens met the solidity of the earth. This three-dimensional sacred geometry formed an invisible skeleton, a hidden framework upon which the entire spiritual experience was built. And on the surfaces of these cosmic structures, another layer of this hidden language was often painted, carved, and meticulously laid in stone. Etched into the stone walls of the Temple of Osiris in Abydos, a pattern of perfectly interlocking circles forms a mesmerizing, flower-like matrix. This is the flower of life, a symbol so ancient and widespread that its identical form appears in the sacred art of China, India, and beyond. It is more than a decorative motif. It is considered by many to be the ultimate geometric genesis pattern, a two-dimensional map containing the blueprints for all of creation. Hidden within its elegant overlaps are the very forms we have been exploring. At its heart, you find the seed of life, the 7 circles of beginning. From this seed sprouts the egg of life, a structure that defines the fundamental template for embryos and cellular division. And remarkably, the very lines that connect the centers of these circles also reveal the skeletons of the 5 Platonic solids. This one symbol seems to hold the entire geometric language of the universe in a single, unified field. How could such a complex and specific pattern emerge independently across the globe, in cultures with no known contact? Its pervasive presence suggests it may not be an invention, but a discovery. It points toward a shared, perhaps intuitive, understanding of a fundamental geometry that underpins our reality, a pattern that is simply found when one delves deep enough into the nature of form and energy. This is why mystics and builders held it in such reverence. They believed that by carving this pattern into a temple wall, or by simply meditating upon its form, one could harmonize the energy of a space and resonate with the very source of creation. The flower of life serves as a grand, two-dimensional key, unlocking the three-dimensional forms that shape our world. And one of its most powerful derivations is a figure known as Metatron's cube, a shape said to hold immense creative and protective power, drawing its authority directly from this primary geometric source. Metatron's cube emerges directly from the flower of life, a web of lines connecting its centers to form a stunningly complex and symmetrical figure. Named for the archangel Metatron, a celestial scribe in ancient texts, this pattern was seen as a divine schematic. It is said to hold within its interlocking lines the very blueprints for the 5 Platonic solids, the perfect shapes believed to construct our reality. This makes the cube a powerful symbol of integration, a single image that contains the fundamental architecture of everything from a water molecule to a distant galaxy. While the angelic name came later, the geometric truth of this form feels timeless. Some scholars suggest its distinct proportions can be found hidden in the layouts of certain secretive meditation chambers and sacred sites, where its balanced energy was thought to aid in spiritual ascent. The core idea is profound. It proposes that all of creation, in its infinite variety, is woven together by an invisible geometric matrix. By building a temple that reflected this cosmic blueprint, ancient architects aimed to create a focal point where this universal connectedness could be physically felt. This deep yearning to manifest interconnection in stone finds another, even more ancient expression in a pattern known as the Sri Yantra. two circles of equal size overlapping at their centers create a shape that is far more than the sum of its parts. This is the Vesica Piscis, a name that translates to the vessel of the fish. This almond-shaped form is the absolute genesis of sacred geometry, the very first step in generating the entire flower of life pattern. Ancient geometers saw this intersection not as a simple overlap, but as a cosmic womb. The moment form emerges from the formless void, it represents the union of spirit and matter, the divine and the earthly, two separate worlds coming together to create something entirely new. This powerful symbolism was not lost on the master builders of the great cathedrals. Look closely at medieval Christian art, and you will see the Vesica Piscis used as a radiant frame, a halo of light encircling the figure of Christ. This was a deliberate choice, identifying the figure as one who exists in both the human and divine realms simultaneously. But the builders went further, embedding the shape's very proportions into the stones of their churches. The foundational layout of many Gothic cathedrals, the width and height of their grand naves and soaring portals, were determined by the unique geometry of the Vesica Piscis. The ratio of its width to its height is the square root of 3, a number that, like pi, cannot be expressed as a simple fraction. These irrational numbers were considered sacred, windows into the infinite and perfect mind of the Creator. To walk through a portal shaped by this ratio was to cross a threshold, to step out of the mundane world and into a space deliberately tuned to a higher reality. The Vesica Piscis was the architectural key, the first geometric act that marked the entrance to the sacred. Chartres Cathedral holds a path underfoot, a massive stone labyrinth laid into the floor that has been walked by pilgrims for centuries. This is not a maze designed to confuse or trap you. A maze is a puzzle with choices and dead ends, but a labyrinth is something entirely different. It offers a single, winding, unicursal path that coils and turns back on itself in a complex dance, yet it always leads you forward, inevitably, toward the center. There are no wrong turns, only the one continuous route. This design transforms a simple walk into a profound spiritual pilgrimage, a physical metaphor for the journey inward to your own soul, and then back out into the world transformed. The geometry of this path is anything but random. Its circuits are carefully calculated, often derived from the same circular patterns and seed of life geometry that we see as the foundation of creation. Every curve is a deliberate part of a larger, harmonious whole, turning the floor into a meditative tool for contemplation and prayer. As you walk, your body follows this prescribed, sacred pattern. Your breathing slows to match your steps, your mind quiets, and the frantic chaos of the outside world falls away. The architecture itself is choreographing your inner experience, using geometry to guide you through a transformative journey without ever saying a word. This same principle of a guided path to enlightenment is the very heart of Hindu temple architecture. There, the journey is also clearly mapped, moving the devotee through a series of concentric spaces from the outer worldly realm toward the inner, most sacred sanctuary, the womb chamber where the deity resides. Both traditions, worlds apart, understood that the path to the divine could be physically laid out in stone, a geometric script for the soul to follow. This intricate diagram, the Vastu Purusha mandala, is far more than a simple blueprint. It is a living map of a cosmic being, the Purusha, pinned face down upon the earth. The entire temple is constructed upon this sacred grid, with its square shape representing the perfect, stable order of the manifested universe. This is not a loose guideline but a precise, mathematical prescription. The large square is meticulously subdivided into a grid of 64 or 81 smaller squares, with each individual cell assigned to a specific deity or a fundamental force of nature. Every wall, every pillar, and every gateway finds its ordained place within this cosmic matrix. This ensures that the entire structure is not just aligned with the cardinal directions, but is in active, harmonic conversation with the cosmos itself. At the very heart of this geometric being lies the Brahmastana, the central and most potent space. This is the nucleus, the energy vortex of the entire temple, analogous to the navel of the cosmic being. It is here, in this perfectly calibrated center, that the main deity resides. The entire design funnels energy toward and radiates from this singular point, making the temple a living, breathing conduit for spiritual power. The placement of every element is a deliberate act of balance, ensuring that the forces of the universe are in perfect equilibrium within the temple's walls. This profound principle of aligning a sacred structure with cosmic order is a universal idea. While the Hindu tradition codified it in the Vastu Purusha mandala, we see the same obsessive attention to celestial alignment in the pyramids of Egypt, precisely oriented to the stars, and in the stone circles of Europe, built to capture the solstice sun. It reveals a shared, ancient understanding that to build a bridge to the divine, one must first learn the language of the heavens. 5,000 years ago, a community in Ireland engineered a miracle of light. At Newgrange, a massive stone tomb older than the pyramids, a single, narrow roof box was positioned above the entrance with breathtaking precision. For just a few minutes at dawn on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, a beam of sunlight pierces that opening. It travels down a long, dark passageway to flood the deepest inner chamber with golden light, a dramatic event that announces the sun's rebirth and the promise of returning spring. This was not a happy accident. It was the result of meticulous observation, an architectural feat that required its builders to understand the sun's shifting path across the sky with incredible accuracy. Across the globe, this same profound dialogue between stone and star is etched into other sacred sites. In Egypt, the great temple of Abu Simbel was carved into a mountainside so that twice a year, on dates aligned with the pharaoh's reign, the rising sun would penetrate the dark interior to illuminate the statues of gods seated in the sanctuary. In India, the entire sun temple of Konark is designed as a colossal stone chariot for the solar deity, its wheels and pillars acting as a sophisticated sundial. These alignments transformed silent monuments into dynamic cosmic clocks. They were celestial observatories that marked the most sacred moments of the year, the solstices and equinoxes, tying human rituals directly to the grand, predictable rhythms of the universe. This required a deep, working knowledge of solar geometry, the precise calculation of the sun's changing angles throughout the seasons. Master builders had to align the central axis of their structure, the placement of doorways, and the size of windows to capture a specific sliver of light on one exact day. The architecture itself became a prayer, a way to honor the solar deities by physically capturing their power and presence. This desire to anchor sacred space within cosmic rhythm reveals a universal human impulse to find our place in the celestial order, a harmony that was not only seen but heard. That resonant hum you can almost hear in the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid is not a trick of the mind. It is a deliberate architectural feature. Ancient builders understood that sacred geometry was not just a visual language, it was a sonic one. The very shape of a room, its precise dimensions and the angles of its walls, could be tuned like a musical instrument to transform sound. A single chant or a struck drum in one of these spaces would not just echo. It would amplify, it would sustain, it would create complex harmonic overtones that seemed to fill the very air with a palpable, vibrating energy. Modern researchers like John Stuart Reid have used a science called cymatics to visualize this phenomenon. By playing specific frequencies onto a plate covered with sand, They reveal how sound waves organize matter into stunning geometric patterns. A low hum might generate a perfect circle. A higher pitch can form an intricate hexagon or a star. This provides a breathtaking visual clue. It suggests that the ancient architects may have been designing their temples to function as massive cymatic devices. The stone itself was being sculpted to respond to specific sonic frequencies, turning the entire chamber into a resonator. Think of the famous Whispering Gallery in St. Paul's Cathedral in London, where a murmur spoken against one wall can be clearly heard far across the room. Similar acoustic marvels exist in Mayan temples and underground crypts across Europe. These effects are not architectural flukes. They are the product of meticulous calculation. The goal was likely profound. Specific sound frequencies were believed to purify a space, to heal the body, or to alter human consciousness, guiding meditators and priests into deeper states of awareness. In this context, vibration was not just a sensation. It was a direct tool for bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realms. To achieve this, the builders had to become masters of both stone and wave, engineering harmony on a scale we are only beginning to appreciate. This precise unit of measurement, the megalithic yard, appears again and again. From the stone circles of Scotland to the ancient alignments of France, structures built hundreds of miles and centuries apart were all constructed using the same standard length of approximately 2.72 feet. This was the discovery of engineer Alexander Thom, who spent decades meticulously surveying these sites. He did not find a haphazard collection of rough stones. Instead, he found a landscape of precision engineering, where complex geometries and astronomical alignments were executed with a shared, sophisticated rule. The implications are staggering. It suggests that Neolithic Europe was not a patchwork of isolated, primitive tribes. It was home to a widespread scientific tradition, a network of builders who shared a common language of measurement and a deep, unified understanding of geometry. How was this standard unit maintained across such vast distances and generations? The yard itself may have been derived from something universal. Some researchers propose it was linked to astronomical observation, perhaps a fraction of a pendulum's swing calibrated to a specific latitude. Others suggest it was based on the human body, a measure tied to the turn of a man's stride or the length of an arm. Whatever its origin, this standardized measure was the key that unlocked the replication of sacred geometry on a monumental scale. It meant that a master builder in one region could design a temple, and a builder 500 miles away, using the same megalithic yard, could construct a nearly identical cosmic machine, perfectly tuned to the same celestial rhythms. This principle of standardizing a sacred unit to ensure cosmic harmony would echo through the ages, reappearing in the precise cubits of Egypt and the sacred canons of classical architecture. The silent stones of Callanish and Karnak are not just monuments, they are pages from a shared textbook, written in a language of measure we are only just beginning to decipher. Pythagoras taught that number was the true essence of reality. To his followers, mathematics was not a dry academic exercise but a sacred key to unlocking the harmony of the cosmos. They believed that simple whole number ratios like 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 were the very building blocks of beauty, resonating through music, the heavens, and the human soul. This philosophy became the invisible foundation for the most iconic structures of the ancient world. Look at the Parthenon, and you are not just seeing a building. You are witnessing a symphony of perfect proportions. Its length to width, the height of its columns to the space between them, even the subtle curves designed to correct the eye, all adhere to these sacred Pythagorean ratios. This was architecture as a form of frozen music, where every dimension was a note in a chord meant to elevate the spirit. The goal was to create a space where a person would feel an instinctive sense of order and peace, a harmony so profound it felt like a glimpse into the divine mind. This was geometry not as a cold calculation, but as a living, spiritual force that could be consciously harnessed. The Romans, master engineers that they were, absorbed this Greek wisdom and scaled it across an empire, embedding these harmonic principles into their own temples, aqueducts, and basilicas, ensuring that the Pythagorean legacy of sacred proportion would echo for centuries. This ancient insistence on harmonic ratios raises a profound question for our own time. The Roman genius was not in pure invention, but in monumental application. They took the harmonious ratios of the Greeks and built an empire with them, translating sacred geometry into a language of imperial power and cosmic order. Nowhere is this synthesis more breathtaking than within the Pantheon in Rome. Step inside, and your breath is stolen not just by the scale, but by the perfect, silent harmony of the space. The interior is a perfect sphere, a colossal orb of air and light. From the floor directly beneath the center of the dome all the way up to the apex, the distance is exactly equal to the diameter of the circular room. You are standing at the very heart of a geometric ideal, a man-made representation of the celestial sphere itself. This precise proportionality creates an overwhelming, instinctual sense of balance and cosmic order, a feeling that every element is in its rightful place. This harmony is carved directly into the dome itself. The stunning coffered ceiling, with its 5 rows of 28 recessed squares, is far more than decoration. This intricate pattern lightens the immense weight of the concrete, yes, but it also uses geometry to draw the eye and the spirit upward, creating a rhythmic, diminishing pattern that pulls your gaze toward the heavens. And at the very center of this geometric masterpiece is the oculus, the great open eye. This 27-foot wide opening is the temple's only source of direct light, a perfect circle that connects the interior world of perfect geometry with the dynamic, living sky above. Throughout the day, a shaft of sunlight sweeps across the marble floor and walls, a moving sundial that charts the passage of time within a timeless space. Rain falls through it, snow drifts down, connecting the sacred interior directly to the elements. The Pantheon is the ultimate fusion of immense engineering and profound spirituality, a building that is at once a feat of structural audacity and a meditation on humanity's place in the cosmos. This Roman vision of a geometrically perfect universe under a single dome would echo through the centuries, planting the seed for the soaring vaults of the great medieval cathedrals that sought to reach the same divine heights. Those ribbed vaults and pointed arches were not just structural innovations, they were geometry set into motion, a system of thrust and counter-thrust calculated with the precision of a mathematical equation. The pointed arch, born from the intersection of 2 circles, could channel weight downward more efficiently than the rounded Roman arch, allowing walls to climb ever higher. The flying buttress, an external skeletal frame, acted as a stone exoskeleton, catching the outward thrust of the vaults and freeing the interior walls from their load-bearing duties. This liberation of the wall was the key to the Gothic miracle. Where once there was solid stone, now there could be vast, shimmering curtains of colored glass. The entire cathedral was transformed into a luminous cage, a vessel designed to capture and transmute light itself, and at the heart of this radiant geometry, the rose window reigns supreme. Its intricate tracery, often spinning out from a central point in 12 petals or 24 segments, is a frozen mandala of stone and glass. The number 12 echoes through sacred tradition, from the apostles to the tribes of Israel, symbolizing a complete and perfect cosmic order. Sunlight pouring through this geometric jewel would cast a kaleidoscope of colored patterns across the nave, literally painting the interior with moving light. turning the very air into a narrative of faith. For the medieval worshipper, many of whom could not read, this was the scripture. The geometry of the structure directed their eyes and hearts upward, while the geometry of the light told them the stories of creation and salvation. This profound use of sacred geometry to create an immersive spiritual experience was not unique to Europe. Across the Atlantic Ocean, in the jungles of Mesoamerica, the ancient Maya were building their own stone prayers, using a completely different yet strangely parallel architectural language to map the cosmos and connect with the divine. High in the jungles of Mesoamerica, geometry ascends toward the heavens in stone. The stepped pyramids of the Maya and Aztecs are far more than tombs or temples. They are colossal cosmological codes carved into the landscape. Each facet of their design is a deliberate act of alignment, a stone prayer offered to the rhythms of the cosmos. The entire structure is a model of the universe, with its four sides rigorously facing the four cardinal directions, anchoring the earthly realm to the fundamental order of the world. This careful orientation is just the beginning of a deeper mathematical story. The total number of steps on these pyramids often holds a profound secret, corresponding precisely to the days in a sacred calendar cycle or another significant number from their intricate timekeeping systems. Walking up these stairs was not just a physical climb, it was a symbolic journey through time itself, a ritual ascent through the very layers of cosmic understanding. The most breathtaking demonstration of this fusion occurs at El Castillo in Chichen Itza. Here, the ancient architects engineered a celestial spectacle. On the spring and autumn equinoxes, as the sun sets, the play of light and shadow across the stepped northwestern balustrade creates an undulating, diamond-backed pattern of triangles. This optical illusion gives life to the feathered serpent deity Kukulkan, appearing as a massive serpent slithering down from the temple at the summit to the earth below. It is a stunning, ephemeral event that lasts only moments, a perfect marriage of astronomy, geometry, and mythology made visible for all to witness. The very proportions of the pyramid, its height, and the angles of its stairways were calculated with astonishing precision to make this annual miracle possible. This reveals a scientific and spiritual tradition that developed entirely independently, yet arrived at the same profound conclusion as the builders of Europe and Asia, that sacred geometry is the essential language for connecting humanity to the cosmos. Across the world in South Asia, this same principle was being expressed with equal sophistication, where temples were not merely built, but were ceremonially brought to life as vessels for the divine. The Sri Yantra is a silent, geometric storm of interlocking triangles, a diagram of such complexity that it seems to hum with an invisible energy. At its absolute center rests the Bindu, a single point representing the unmanifest source of all creation, the seed of the universe itself. Radiating outward from this still center are 9 triangles, 4 pointing upward and 5 pointing downward, their sharp points perfectly interwoven to form a web of 43 smaller triangles. This is not a static image, it is a dynamic map of cosmic evolution where the upward triangles symbolize the divine masculine, Shiva, and the downward triangles represent the divine feminine, Shakti. Their perfect union gives birth to the entire tapestry of reality, from the most subtle spiritual vibrations to the dense physical world we inhabit. The Sri Yantra is also a mirror of our own inner world, a chart of the human psychic system and the journey of consciousness back to its source. To meditate upon its form is to trace a path inward, moving from the outer square, which represents the earthly realm with its 4 gates to the cardinal directions, through the concentric circles and lotus petals, and finally through the shrinking triangles, until the mind arrives at that singular, silent point of origin. The entire design is a profound visual mantra, a machine for focusing consciousness, and this two-dimensional machine was the direct inspiration for the three-dimensional temple. The temple's layout is the Sri Yantra brought to life in stone. The outermost walls and courtyards correspond to the yantra's outer square, the realm of everyday life. As a devotee moves inward, passing through successive gateways and enclosures, they are metaphorically traveling through the diagram's concentric rings. The journey culminates at the Garbhagriha, the dark, womb-like inner sanctuary, which is the architectural equivalent of the central bindu. Here, in this geometrically perfect heart, the deity resides. The towering shikara, or spire, that rises directly above this chamber is the final expression of this sacred axis, a stone arrow pointing from the center of creation toward the infinite heavens above. Every proportion, every angle of the temple is calculated with the same precision demanded by the Sri Yantra's perfect lines. The building itself becomes a three-dimensional meditation, a path one walks with their own body, moving from the fragmented multiplicity of the outer world toward the unified singularity of the divine core. This intricate language of sacred geometry, used to map both the cosmos and the soul, resonates powerfully in another great spiritual tradition. A Buddhist stupa is not a building you enter, but a journey you walk around. Its entire form is a three-dimensional mandala, a cosmic diagram made solid, guiding the practitioner through the very architecture of enlightenment. Every element is a deliberate symbol. The solid square base grounds the structure in the earth. Upon this rests the vast hemispherical dome representing the element of water. Rising from the dome is the spire, a symbol of fire ascending, and at its peak, a ceremonial umbrella signifies the ethereal nature of air and the infinite void beyond. These are not arbitrary choices. The precise proportions governing the relationship of the base to the dome to the spire are meticulously detailed in ancient sacred texts, ensuring that every stupa, no matter its size, perfectly mirrors the harmonic structure of the cosmos. But the true magic of the stupa is unlocked through movement. The act of circumambulation, of walking a slow, mindful circle around its base, is the heart of the practice. As you walk, you are not just circling a monument. You are tracing the path of the mandala, moving symbolically from the outer, earthly realm toward the central axis, the axis of the universe itself. It is a walking meditation, using geometry to choreograph a spiritual ascent. This same profound fusion of geometry and impermanence is captured in the creation of sand mandalas. Monks spend days or even weeks painstakingly laying down millions of grains of colored sand into astoundingly complex geometric patterns, only to sweep it all away upon completion. The breathtaking precision is not for permanence, but to teach a powerful lesson about the ordered, yet fleeting, nature of the material world. This is sacred geometry in its purest, most active form. It is not merely a symbolic language to be observed, but a dynamic tool for internal transformation, a physical aid to reshape consciousness. This purposeful application of geometric principles to alter human awareness connects these ancient Buddhist traditions to a much older and more mysterious world, to the colossal, womb-like temples of Malta, whose builders also seem to understand that certain shapes could resonate with the human spirit in ways we are only beginning to grasp. Long before the pyramids cast their shadows over the desert, a different kind of miracle was taking shape on the sun-scorched islands of Malta. Here, a Neolithic people, using only stone tools and immense communal effort, erected the Haga Kim and Mnajdra temples. These are the oldest freestanding stone structures on Earth, a title that carries a profound weight of mystery. Their builders left behind no scrolls, no glyphs, no written language of any kind. Their entire worldview is silent, spoken only through the language of stone, and that language is a sophisticated geometry. The temples are not simple circles or rectangles. They are complex cloverleaf designs, what archaeologists call trefoil plans, with a series of curved chambers or apses branching off from a central corridor. This was not haphazard construction. It was a deliberate, advanced arrangement of space, an architectural code we are still struggling to crack. The sheer scale of the limestone blocks, some weighing many tons, had to be quarried, transported, and then fitted together with an understanding of weight and balance that seems to defy their era. Why would a people with no metal tools invest such colossal effort into creating these specific, repeating geometric forms? The stones themselves offer a tantalizing clue, not in their shape but in their alignment. At Najdra, the lower temple is a precision astronomical instrument. On the equinoxes, the first rays of the rising sun slice perfectly through the main doorway to illuminate a central slab. On the solstices, the sun's light strikes the edges of massive stone portals, marking the sun's furthest journey north and south in the sky. This was a culture deeply attuned to the cosmos, building a sacred, geometric space to capture and honor the turning of time itself. The purpose of the unique cloverleaf shape remains one of archaeology's great enigmas. Was it meant to represent a sacred animal, or perhaps the cycle of life, death, and rebirth? Could the very shape of the chambers have been designed to amplify sound or focus energy in ways we no longer understand? These Maltese temples stand as a powerful, silent testament to a universal human impulse. Across vast distances and with no possible contact, different cultures independently arrived at the same profound idea, that to connect with the cosmos, you must first learn to speak its geometric language. An Egyptian temple unfolds like a geometric map of the cosmos. You did not simply walk into a single room, you embarked on a carefully orchestrated journey from the bright, chaotic world outside toward the silent, eternal reality within. This entire pilgrimage was governed by an unbreakable axial symmetry, a straight, central path that pulled you forward through a sequence of ever more sacred spaces. Your journey began at the massive pylon gateway, two sloping towers that framed the entrance like a pair of colossal mountains. Passing through this monumental threshold, you entered the open courtyard, a space flooded with sunlight and accessible to a wider public. But this was only the beginning. Ahead lay the hypostyle hall, a breathtaking forest of stone columns so dense and closely packed that they seemed to swallow the light. The sheer number of pillars, arranged in perfect geometric grids, created a disorienting, awe-inspiring labyrinth. The very architecture was now guiding you, compressing your world. As you moved deeper, the floor began to slope subtly upward while the ceiling pressed downward. This was not an accident of construction. It was a deliberate geometric choreography, a physical sensation of being squeezed from the profane world and into a more rarefied state of being. The final destination was the sanctuary, a small, dark, windowless chamber at the very heart of the complex. Here, in this perfect cube of space, the statue of the god resided. The dramatic contrast between the open courtyard and this enclosed Holy of Holies was the entire point of the design. And all along this sacred path, the columns told their own story. Carved to resemble bundles of lotus and papyrus plants, they transformed the stone hall into the primeval marsh from which all life first emerged. The temple was not just a bridge to the cosmos, it was a recreation of the moment of creation itself. This profound use of geometry to guide a spiritual transformation finds a powerful echo in another great architectural tradition, where the journey inward is mapped not with statues but with pure, abstract pattern. Within the serene expanse of a mosque, the walls themselves seem to dissolve into a vision of the eternal. Every surface blooms with an explosion of interlacing stars and swirling arabesques. a symphony of patterns so complex they can mesmerize the eye for hours. This breathtaking art form emerged from a profound theological choice, a deliberate avoidance of figural representation to prevent any form of idolatry. In its place, Islamic artists and architects cultivated a purely abstract language, using geometry to articulate concepts that were otherwise beyond human depiction. The core of this language is the Jiri, a sophisticated system of decorated tiles, typically stars and polygons, that fit together with mathematical perfection. Each tile is precisely shaped: a 5, 8, or 10-pointed star, a hexagon, or a bow tie, designed to interlock seamlessly with its neighbors across an invisible underlying grid. The genius of the system lies in its infinite scalability. A master craftsman could start with a single star and, by following the geometric rules, expand the pattern outward forever, across a wall, a dome, or an entire city, without the design ever breaking or faltering. This endless repetition is the entire point. It is a direct visual metaphor for the infinite and omnipresent nature of God, a divine order that has no beginning and no end. Gazing upon these patterns, the worshipper is invited into a state of contemplation, to reflect on the unity and perfect order of a universe created by a single, all-powerful deity. The swirling floral vines, known as arabesques, intertwine with this rigid geometry, symbolizing the unfolding of life and the spirit within the unchanging, eternal laws of creation. This is not mere decoration to beautify a space. It is a spiritual technology, a visual mantra designed to quiet the mind and elevate the soul toward an understanding of absolute unity. How does this intricate, finite art point toward the infinite? The answer is found in the silent, perfect logic of the patterns themselves, a logic that would eventually inspire architects and artists in another part of the world, where geometry was used not just to represent the divine, but to build its very dwelling place. The detailed description of Solomon's temple presents a divine blueprint etched not in stone but in scripture. Its specific dimensions, dictated by God to King David and later built by Solomon, have captivated mystics and architects for thousands of years. The temple's layout was a geometric sermon. The inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, was a perfect cube, its form representing the unshakable stability of the divine presence. The larger hall preceding it maintained a distinct 3:1 proportion, a ratio that resonates with profound symbolic meaning. For Kabbalists, these proportions were not arbitrary. They saw in the temple's plan a diagram of the tree of life, a map of the 10 divine emanations through which the infinite God manifests the finite universe. Each chamber, each measurement, represented a step on the path of spiritual ascent, a journey from the outer court of material existence to the inner, most sacred core of pure divinity. This interpretation transformed the temple from a historical building into a timeless, metaphysical machine. This esoteric understanding was carried forward for centuries by groups like the Freemasons, who adopted the temple's symbolic geometry as the foundation of their own rituals and philosophy. For them, the temple represented the perfected human soul, and its construction mirrored the inner work of building a moral and enlightened life. The precise orientation of the temple, its alignment toward the east, and the specific materials described all contributed to a grand geometric harmony. It became the ultimate archetype of sacred space in the Western esoteric tradition, a lost ideal that countless artists and architects would later try to reconstruct. This obsessive search for a perfect, divinely inspired geometry would find its ultimate expression in the sketchbooks of a Renaissance genius, a man who believed he could decipher God's mathematical language written across the face of nature itself. Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man is more than a beautiful sketch. It is a philosophical argument drawn in ink. Here, the human form becomes the literal measure of all things, perfectly centered within a circle and a square. This iconic image was Da Vinci's brilliant visualization of ideas from the ancient Roman architect Vitruvius, who argued that sacred buildings should be designed according to the proportions of a well-shaped man. Why would a temple feel so profoundly right, so harmonious to our senses? The theory of anthropometry suggests it is because the building subtly mirrors us. The spacing of columns might reflect the span of your outstretched arms. The height of a room could echo the ratio from your foot to the top of your head. When you walk through a space built on these principles, you are, in a way, walking into an architecture that recognizes your own form. Da Vinci fused this classical ideal with his own relentless scientific curiosity, dissecting cadavers to understand the precise mathematics of the body. He was demonstrating that the circle, representing the cosmic and the eternal, and the square, symbolizing the earthly and material, could both be harmoniously contained within the human frame. This was a monumental shift in perspective. The sacred geometry of the ancients was not just out there in the stars or locked in stone. It was also here, inscribed in the very blueprint of our bodies. The Vitruvian Man proclaims that we are each a walking temple, a living example of the divine proportions that architects had been chasing for millennia. This revelation placed humanity at the very center of the cosmic order, suggesting that to build a bridge to the universe, one need only look inward. This same mathematical rhythm pulses through the heart of a sunflower. The seeds are not scattered randomly. They spiral outward in a mesmerizing pattern that follows a precise numerical sequence. Each number is the sum of the two that came before it, beginning with 0 and 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, and so on, expanding forever. This is the Fibonacci sequence, a code for growth found everywhere in the living world. You can count the spirals in a pine cone and find Fibonacci numbers. You can see it in the branching of a tree, the arrangement of leaves on a stem, and the unfurling curl of a nautilus shell. The deeper magic, however, lies in the ratio between these successive numbers. As the sequence progresses, the ratio between each number and its predecessor gets closer and closer to the Golden Ratio, Phi. Life itself seems to be built upon this spiral of progressive harmony. The question then becomes, did ancient architects consciously use the Fibonacci sequence in their blueprints? While we may not find their stone tablets covered in scribbled calculations of 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, the profound overlap is undeniable. By designing structures that mirrored the proportions and growth patterns of nature, they were tapping into the same generative source code. A temple's elevation might not be a literal Fibonacci spiral, but its proportions can create a similar feeling of dynamic, unfolding balance. The space might feel as though it is organically growing upward and outward, rather than being statically imposed upon the land. This was the ultimate act of sympathetic magic. By building with the same mathematics that governs a sunflower or a galaxy, these master masons were weaving their creations directly into the fabric of life. The structure would not feel alien or man-made, but rather like a natural outcropping of the cosmic order itself, a place where a visitor could feel instinctively at home in a universe of beautiful, intelligent design. A temple's sacred geometry extends far beyond its stone walls, reaching into the very landscape it inhabits. Ancient traditions like Chinese Feng Shui and Indian Vastu Shastra perceived the earth not as a dead resource, but as a living body crisscrossed by invisible energy lines. Some cultures called these dragon lines, while in the West they are often referred to as ley lines. The art of reading these terrestrial energies is known as geomancy, a sophisticated science of placement that uses geometric principles to site a temple in perfect harmony with its environment. This was not a matter of finding a flat, convenient piece of ground. It was a complex geometric calculus, the precise orientation to the cardinal directions, the specific shape of the surrounding hills, the vital proximity to flowing water, and the deliberate arrangement of rocks and trees were all considered essential variables in a grand equation. The goal was to maximize the flow of positive life force, known as chi or prana, creating a vortex of beneficial energy. In this holistic view, a temple was never an isolated object. It functioned as a powerful node within a vast, energetic web spanning the entire Earth. Its carefully calculated geometry served as a kind of spiritual antenna, designed to tap into and amplify these natural terrestrial forces. The building itself became a focal point, concentrating the land's inherent power for the benefit of those who worshipped within. This reveals a breathtaking scale of sacred design, where the invisible lines of the planet and the deliberate lines of human architecture merge into a single, harmonious system. The rolling hills of Visoko, Bosnia, do not look like a pyramid at first glance, yet a controversial claim insists that these are not hills at all, but the crumbling remnants of the oldest and largest pyramids on Earth. Proponents point to the striking geometric symmetry of the slopes, their precise alignment with the cardinal directions, and strange blocks of artificial-looking concrete found on the site as proof of a lost advanced civilization. A similar story unfolds on the other side of the world, at Gunung Padang in Indonesia. Here, what appears to be a natural hill is said to conceal a massive, layered pyramid, its terraces built by a sophisticated culture thousands of years before the Egyptians ever erected a stone. The evidence presented includes underground radar anomalies that suggest hidden chambers and stone columns arranged with an order that feels deliberate. For many, these sites ignite a thrilling sense of wonder, a possibility that our history books are missing entire chapters of human achievement. They represent the ultimate expression of our desire to find sacred geometry etched into the very bones of the Earth. Yet mainstream archaeology pushes back forcefully, offering a different, more geological explanation. The perfect angles in Bosnia could be the result of natural tectonic pressures that fracture stone into geometric forms. The layered hill in Indonesia might simply be the product of volcanic activity and natural erosion over millions of years. This fierce debate is about more than just dating rocks. It strikes at the very heart of how we see our past and interpret the world around us. Our human minds are exceptional pattern recognition engines, hardwired to find faces in clouds and constellations in the stars. This same instinct drives us to see the intentional hand of a builder in a perfectly angled mountainside. The controversy forces a difficult question. Are we discovering a forgotten global language of sacred geometry, or are we projecting our own deep-seated myths and desires onto the natural landscape? It is a powerful cautionary tale, reminding us that the search for ancient secrets requires not only an open mind but also a rigorous skepticism. The true shape of these hills remains shrouded in mystery, a testament to the enduring power of the pyramid as a symbol and the fine line between a revolutionary discovery and a compelling illusion. A laser beam sweeps silently across the weathered stones of an ancient pyramid, capturing millions of data points in a single second. This is the new frontier of archaeology, where tools like 3D laser scanning and ground-penetrating radar are peeling back the layers of time itself. We are no longer guessing at proportions or squinting to sight an alignment. We can now create exquisitely precise digital twins of these sacred structures, allowing us to measure angles and distances with an accuracy the original builders might have envied. This flood of data is transforming our understanding. Researchers can feed these digital models into sophisticated software to test theories that were once pure speculation. Was this temple intentionally aligned with the rising of a specific star? A digital simulation of the ancient sky can now provide a definitive answer. Do the interior chambers resonate at a specific sonic frequency? The exact dimensions from the scan can tell us. Sometimes the data confirms a long-held belief, like the precise pi relationship in the Great Pyramid, giving us empirical confidence in ancient knowledge. But just as often, these scans reveal secrets the naked eye could never see. Subtle curves in walls assumed to be straight, or repeating geometric ratios in floor plans that were too complex to discern before. We are, in effect, reverse engineering the minds of the master masons. Every intentional ratio, every deliberate alignment becomes a line of code in their cosmic blueprint. This rigorous, data-driven approach is building a powerful bridge. It connects the intuitive, mystical traditions of sacred geometry with the empirical language of modern science, suggesting that the ancients were not just poets and priests, but also brilliant engineers of a hidden reality. That profound sense of peace you feel within a grand cathedral is more than just atmosphere. It is architecture in active conversation with your mind. Modern science is now uncovering why these ancient spaces hold such power over our inner state. Cognitive researchers and environmental psychologists are discovering that the human brain responds in measurable ways to specific geometric environments. The very proportions that ancient builders called sacred, like the Golden Ratio, appear to resonate with our own neural architecture. When you stand in a room built with these harmonious ratios, your brain does not have to work hard to process the space. It feels intuitively correct, balanced, and beautiful. This effortless processing can lower cortisol levels, reduce stress, and gently guide the mind away from its usual chatter toward a state of quiet contemplation. It is as if the geometry of the space is giving your overactive prefrontal cortex permission to rest. The intricate order of a rose window or the repeating patterns of an Islamic Jiri tilework provide a perfect level of stimulation. They offer what psychologists call soft fascination, an engaging but non-threatening focus that captivates our innate pattern-seeking instincts without overwhelming them. This is the cognitive sweet spot for meditation. The geometry does not demand your attention, it invites it, allowing your awareness to settle and deepen. This research suggests a stunning possibility. The hidden patterns in these temples were far more than symbolic representations of the cosmos. They were functional technology, carefully engineered to induce specific psychological and spiritual experiences. The architecture was an active participant in the ritual, a silent partner working in concert with chant, incense, and prayer to alter human consciousness. The builders may not have had fMRI machines, but through millennia of observation and intuition, they perfected a design language that speaks directly to the human spirit, using stone and proportion to craft a doorway to transcendence. The language of sacred geometry did not fade into history with its original masters. It simply found new interpreters, architects who looked at the steel and glass of the modern world and saw the same ancient patterns yearning for expression. In the mid-20th century, the influential architect Le Corbusier became obsessed with this fusion. He believed that modern architecture had lost its human connection, so he developed a tool called the modula. This was a system of measurement based directly on the proportions of a 6-foot human figure, its dimensions meticulously calibrated to the Golden Ratio. He envisioned it as a universal rule, a way to design everything from a single chair to an entire city, so that it would feel instinctively right to the human body and spirit. His iconic chapel of Notre Dame du Haut in France stands as a testament to this philosophy. Its sweeping, organic concrete roof does not follow a rigid classical plan, yet its curves and interior volumes resonate with the same harmonic proportions found in nature. It is a modern ruin, a primal cave, all built with the mathematical intuition of the ancients. This conscious revival extends to entirely new forms of worship. Look at the Baha'i houses of worship, which are designed as 9-sided circular structures. The number 9 holds deep significance in the Baha'i faith, symbolizing completeness and unity. The circle itself, with no beginning and no end, represents the oneness of God and the unity of all humanity. By combining these geometric ideals, the architects create a space that is both visually stunning and profoundly symbolic, its very form guiding visitors toward a state of contemplative unity. This is not mere imitation. It is a recognition that certain shapes and ratios possess a timeless power to quiet the mind. Modern meditation centers and even some cutting-edge corporate offices now intentionally incorporate these principles, using fractal patterns in ceilings or rooms built to golden ratio dimensions to reduce stress and enhance focus. The stones have changed, but the song remains the same. We are still using geometry to build bridges, not to the gods of old, but to the quiet, harmonious center of our own modern lives. A perfectly proportioned rectangle on a blueprint does not automatically prove the presence of a divine number. This fascinating field of sacred geometry, for all its genuine wonders, has a shadow side filled with overeager interpretations and modern myths. Our desire to find patterns is so strong that we sometimes see intentional designs where none exist. Not every rectangular space in an ancient ruin was built to the golden ratio, and not every doorway that faces the sunrise was a precise solstice marker. Some alignments were simply practical, oriented to catch the morning light or to avoid prevailing winds. Builders worked with the limitations of their tools and materials, and sometimes a slightly off measurement was just that, a human error, not a secret code. This is why a critical perspective is so vital. It acts as a necessary filter, separating the truly profound architectural achievements from speculative fiction. For instance, the idea that all pyramids around the world must be connected by a lost civilization often ignores the simple fact that the pyramid is one of the most stable and logical forms for reaching toward the sky. Different cultures could and did invent it independently. By applying this sober assessment, we do not diminish the ancients. On the contrary, we honor them. We appreciate their actual, verifiable genius, the real mathematical knowledge and observational skills that allowed them to create structures which continue to astound us. Our admiration becomes grounded in their authentic accomplishments, which are impressive enough without the need for extra layers of mystery. This disciplined approach ensures that our journey into the past is a search for truth, not just a collection of appealing fantasies. These repeating patterns form a vocabulary that seems to transcend culture and time. A circle, a square, a spiral, a triangle, these are the fundamental letters of a visual alphabet that appears again and again. From the stone rings of Europe to the pyramids of Mesoamerica, cultures who never met each other all chose the same basic shapes for their most sacred spaces. This is not a coincidence. It suggests that sacred geometry is far more than a cultural invention. It is a universal language. This language might be hardwired into the human mind itself, a native grammar of perception that we all share. When we look at a perfect circle, our brain recognizes its unity and balance. When we see a spiral, we intuitively understand its dynamic growth. These forms feel right to us on a primal level, and so it is only natural that when we seek to build a home for the divine, we reach for these same foundational elements. But the roots of this shared language may go even deeper than our own psychology. They may be woven into the fabric of the physical universe. The laws of physics are the same everywhere. Gravity, light, and the forces that hold matter together operate under consistent principles. A circle is the most efficient way to enclose a space. A triangle is the most stable structural form. A spiral is the natural expression of growth around a central point. When different cultures independently studied the world around them, from the whirlpool in a river to the structure of a crystal, they were all observing the same universal laws. They were all reading from the same cosmic rulebook, so when they built their temples, they were not just copying nature, they were embodying its most fundamental principles. They were giving physical form to the invisible mathematics that govern everything from the atom to the galaxy. This is the core of the universal language theory. It proposes that these geometric patterns are not something humans invented. They are something we discovered, an eternal and pre-existing code that we slowly learn to speak. The great works of sacred architecture are therefore not just local expressions of faith. They are humanity's collective attempt to translate the deep, silent grammar of the cosmos into a language of stone and light, a testament to a shared quest for meaning that unites us across all divides. The timeless patterns embedded in temple stones are not locked away in history. You can hold this ancient language in your own hands with nothing more than a compass and a straight edge. The simple act of drawing sacred geometry is a form of active meditation, a way to trace the very blueprints of creation that guided master builders for millennia. Begin with the Vesica Piscis, the first geometric act. Place the point of your compass on a blank page and swing a circle. Then, without changing the compass width, place the point anywhere on the circumference of that first circle and swing a second one. Where they overlap, the almond shape of the Vesica Piscis emerges, the primal womb from which all other forms are born. This single foundational step connects you to the moment form arises from the void. From this dual circle, you can continue outward, adding more circles at each new intersection, and slowly, miraculously, the seed of life pattern unfolds before you. This is not merely drawing, it is participating in a universal process. Each rotation of the compass, each precise line drawn with the straight edge, forces your mind to focus entirely on the present moment. The outside world falls away as you become absorbed in the relationships between points, lines, and curves. You are not just copying a picture, you are constructing a cosmos, one circle at a time. You begin to feel the logic of the patterns in your bones, understanding how the flower of life naturally gives rise to Metatron's cube and the Platonic Solids. This hands-on practice reveals the profound truth that complexity is born from breathtaking simplicity. The harmony and order that you are building on the page starts to resonate within your own consciousness, offering a quiet, personal glimpse into the mind of the ancients and the elegant structure of our universe. Our journey ends where it began, with silent stones that speak a universal language. We have traveled from the pyramids of Giza to the cathedrals of Europe and the temples of Asia, witnessing a breathtaking consistency. Across continents and millennia, humanity's most sacred structures were built upon a shared foundation of geometric principles. This was not mere decoration. The circle, the square, the golden ratio, and the celestial alignment were the very essence of these places, encoding a complete cosmology, a sophisticated astronomy, and the deepest spiritual beliefs of their creators. These patterns reveal a worldview in which the universe was seen as fundamentally ordered, intelligible, and beautiful. Our ancestors did not build to dominate their environment, but to harmonize with it, to create a resonant bridge between our world and the cosmos they revered. The scholar Robert Lawler beautifully expressed that geometry is the foundation of all design, the grammar of the language of form. This exploration invites you to carry that insight forward. Look more deeply at the world around you. See the spiral in a pine cone and recognize the same pattern that governs a galaxy. Notice the proportions of a seashell and feel the echo of a temple's facade. Let this awareness illuminate the timeless human search for meaning and connection, a quest etched in stone and written in the elegant language of mathematics. If this journey has revealed new perspectives, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more voyages into history's greatest